Welcome back to this edition of Snowman in the Morning. Glad to have y'all with us. And before I welcome my guest, I got a funny story to tell you. I was at work one day and I was on a break and I found this guy talking sports, my guest. And I said, this guy is actually fun to listen to. I did. And I listened to it a little bit more, but then, of course, the bell rang and I had to go back to work. So I said, how can I get to talk to him? So I took the bull by the horns and I reached out to him. He said yes, and we have been friends ever since. That was 2020, and this is the guy I'm talking about. One of the best to do it, and a brother I love very much, the one and only Rod Pedersen. What's up, Rod? Great to have you.
An intro I'm not worthy of, but thank you, Snowman. Very nice of you today.
Oh, you are definitely worthy of it, because when we met 6 years ago, I know you were looking, wait, who's this guy reaching out to me? But then you reached out back to me, and we've been clicking ever since, man. I love it.
Nice to see you. Nice to be here. In this business, nice to be anywhere, as you know.
Exactly. All right, let's get to it. A lot of Canadian football going on. Who has impressed you so far, and who has disappointed you so far?
Well, it's fun. I don't know how much you guys have been watching it where you're at. I assume you're following it a little. On CBS Sports Network, it's on. Snowman, we're halfway through the season in the Canadian Football League. I spent 20 years with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, so that's a team that I follow a lot. But if you ask what's going on, two teams that were written off at the start, BC Lions and Hamilton Tiger Cats, had bad first halves. All of a sudden, lo and behold, boom. It's a small league, so you can make up a lot of ground fast. Now, yourself, in the NFL, you start 0-2, stats say you're pretty much done.
It's tough to make up ground in the NFL.
Yeah, or even college football.
Right.
Depending on the conference, you lose a couple of games, and depending on who they're to, you're done. CFL, it goes right down to the last wire. So I've been working in the league since 1991, but people get fooled every year. And just who the hell? I had Emery Hunt on today from CBS Sports Network. He's out of New York. He goes, "Oh, what a fun year! What an exciting year!" I said, "Bro, we say that every year." And you know that, Emery. But it's just been a lot of fun at Canadian football. And then, the off-field stuff, too, like Curtis Rourke with the San Francisco 49ers is a Canadian kid, your team. So everybody's and Indiana guy. So everybody's following real closely. Is he going to end up in the CFL? Because his older brother, Nathan, is the face of the CFL with the BC Lions, their quarterback. And I'm going out there this weekend to the game in Vancouver. I'm very much looking forward to that. So it's been a fun summer of football.
Nathan Rourke, since I first watched him play, has been my guy. Just like when I got started in the NFL, my guy was Joe Montana with the 49ers. How exciting is it to see Nathan Rourke in person do his thing? Because I've only watched him on TSN and I've watched him parts on CBS Sports Network, but seeing him in person, is he the real deal in person like I think he is?
Yeah, but the debate rages in Canada. And I'll be honest, no matter, I've been doing this so long. This is going to sound terrible. Don't tell anybody when I say this, but I feel like the only adult at a kid's Christmas party or a kid's party, birthday party. Because I'm like, you guys, you're just milling around, just playing around. You don't understand. And there is he's very, very, very good when he's on, but he's not perfect. But he's not even 30 yet. I think he's 28. And he played high school football and college football in the States, bounced around the NFL. Well, I'm not saying he's not used to the CFL game, but it is different, even though he's a Canadian kid. But there's this guy in Montreal, Davis Alexander, if you're following this at all, out of Portland State.
I know him.
Well, he's set all kinds of records. He's the best start ever to the career by a quarterback in the CFL. He's probably a better player than Nathan, but because he's from, I don't know if you know that area, it's not Puget Sound, Washington, but it's something like that. It's over the Pacific Northwest because he's American and Nathan's
Mhm.
Canadian.
Right.
Nathan's the face of the league
Face
and the
of the
talk
league.
of the
Yep.
league and all that. And I'm just like, guys, Nathan hasn't won a championship yet, hasn't even got his team to a championship yet. Davis
True.
Alexander did that with Montreal last year. So
Mhm.
all I'm saying is just, I'm like, none of this shakes out till the end.
Yep.
Let's wait and see how it all plays out.
Mhm.
And the funny thing is, when I say I'm going out to BC this week, I'm going as a guest of the BC Lions. They're playing
Nice.
my former team, and they get all mad because I'm like, Nathan Rourke hasn't won a championship yet. He hasn't proved shit, and they get so mad. And I'm like, you guys should be happy that I'm saying that because you get it. I'm
It's
like,
the truth, though.
no, it's not that. It is the truth, but nobody
Yep.
likes the truth. And
Right.
number two, the motivating factor for me, and my 53 years on this green ball, is people saying I can do it. So I'm like, you should be happy that I'm saying he hadn't done jack squat yet, because
Right.
and I know he's listening. I don't think he acts like he's listening, but you hear everything, right?
Mhm. And that's my motivation because a few years ago, as you know, I was under the knife getting rid of cancer. And no one said, you won't be able to beat it because there's such a low survival rate. Here I am at 54, still behind the microphone, talking to you, talking to some of my best friends in the business. And that, like, it's your motivation. It's also my motivation. So I'm checking out any and everything, any and every sport. And not only am I reporting on it, I'm doing alternative play-by-play for some of the games. I followed the Blue Jays last year all the way up to Game 7 of the World Series. But this is being in this business for me has been more fun than ever because of everything that I've been going through and because of everything that people say that I cannot do. I'm like, as long as I got a microphone in front of me and a way to catch the game, I'm going to put this headset on and I'm going to call the darn thing.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny because I was in the league for 20 years. I've been out of the league for 7, and I've been doing NCAA baseball the last 3 summers. It's a collegiate league in Canada. We just finished it up. Our kids are all NCAA players in the US, but I'm like, I'm enjoying the kids, a different sport, but everybody only wants to talk CFL, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you and I talked about this one time on one of your shows. You called 7 sports in your life?
Yep.
For me, it's like 3, literally, hockey and football deeply. And I just got into baseball, and oh my God, do I love it. What a sport. The sport, the people, the vibe. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God. Nobody told me because where we grew up, baseball, I mean, hockey was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then every other sport after that.
We had the sport after that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, I'm enjoying things like you.
I love it. I love hearing that. The first sport I ever called was basketball. And I grew up in Chicago watching Michael Jordan and the Bulls, listening to the person who gave me the bug, which is Jim Durham, the late Jim Durham. Had a chance to have one of my heroes on in Wayne Larrabee. He was the voice of the Bears at the time that I got into it. And then a couple years after that, 1998, I called my first baseball game. And like you, I fell in love immediately because I thought it was going to be basketball that was going to be my biggest influence in terms of calling a game. But when I got to do baseball, every hero that I listened to growing up, including the local guys that I listened to in Chicago, John Rooney and Ed Farmer, and all of the others that I listened to over the course of time across the United States and Canada, because Jerry Howarth will always be one of my favorites. Former voice of the Blue Jays, of course, the late Tom Cheek, who delivered that wonderful championship call, "Touch 'Em All, Joe." I only had a chance to study them like recently. When I was down in North Carolina warming up for a game, I had Jerry Howarth in my ear. I had an old call from him in my ear. And then Moose checked in with me. A couple of other folks checked in with me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to pay him some tribute if somebody hits a home run. Sure enough, 3rd inning, one of the Louisville players hits a home run, and I'm screaming, there she goes.
And there she goes. Well, Tom Cheek's my guy. And in a way, I kind of feel bad for the young broadcasters now that I don't know. I guess they could go and work in a radio station like I did when I was 17, pushing
Right.
buttons on a Blue Jays broadcast, listening to Tom Cheek and
Yep.
loving every single second of it. I don't know if
Yep.
kids do that anymore or not, but it's actually funny you say that about when you first started doing baseball, because my mind flashed. I think that's why we get along. Scary to me to think our mind works the same, you and me, Snowman. Scary to me. But I'm like, all those books I read as a kid, Harry Carey,
Yep.
Catcher in a Rye by Bob Euchre,
Yep.
Howard Cosell's book, I never played the game. All those were flooding my mind. And I'm like, oh, this is what these guys did. This is how they buttered their bread. I read Tom Cheek's book later in life too. But then I was like, these guys have been stealing money
Yep.
for 40 years. This isn't work.
It really isn't. And that's what folks don't understand. When I met Jody and she saw me preparing for a football game, she just looked at all the paperwork that was on my desk in front of me and how I was recording my liners and the system that I had. This was before I had to go in for surgery. And she says, "You got this down to a science." I said, "Yeah, you want to be a part of it?" "Hell yeah. What do you need me to, all you need me to do?" And she's my booth producer whenever we go out on site. And she's also my booth producer here because she keeps me on track of every piece of prep that I need to do, no matter what the sport is. So I tell people all the time who ask me, how did I get into broadcasting? Purely on a whim, to be totally honest, because a friend of mine was checking out a camera at Chicago State University in 1995. And I asked him, "Can you attach a microphone to that?" He said, "Yeah. What do you have in mind?" "What do you have to film?" "There's a basketball game." "Well, let's see if we can pull something off." That was my first basketball game, December 1995. I let my Jim Durham dream loose, and the kids loved it. The coaches loved it. The administration was against it for about a year and a half. Us hanging with the team, but we were the only ones that were covering Chicago State at the time that had the nerve to cover Chicago State at the time. And then the administration caught on and said, "Okay, we can keep these guys around." So that's how I got started.
It's hilarious that you bring that up, because I get asked once a week, at the least once every 2 weeks, how did you get started in broadcasting? And I don't, and the reason I find it funny is because what I'm realizing now is broadcasters have a different road. Everybody, there's no two the same, really.
Right.
But the other thing is, I work as a mental health and addiction recovery coach and spend as much or more time doing that. Nobody ever asks about that. Like, never. I'm like, why are people so fascinated about people's road into broadcasting? I don't know why, but mine is, it's all I ever wanted to do from the time I was 6 years of age, and I'll be doing it. My dad worked as a hockey scout till he was 76, until he shut it down. The Dallas Stars gave him a lifetime contract, the Dallas Stars. And when he was 76, he's like, "Yeah, maybe I'll shut her down now." And I said to his boss with the Stars, I said, "How does a guy get a contract like that with the Dallas Stars?" And he goes, "You're not your dad." I'm like, "No, I'm not. We can agree on one thing."
That's kind of how I got to WCSU in 95, because I came around the corner and my longtime friend and mentor, John Kalidas, heard me do an impression of Jim Durham. And he looked at me and I looked at him and I thought, okay, this guy's going to say something to me and he's going to think I'm crazy. He said, "Would you step into my office for a minute?" Sure. I stepped into his office and he says, "You want to be our sports director?" "What?" "Yeah, you can direct our sports programming. You can host a show." I got thrown the whole plate at once. And it started with the covering basketball. The next year I started doing baseball. And as we talked about a few moments ago, fell in love with that. Absolutely fell in love with that rhythm. What has it been like for you with your venture into baseball? I know you just wrapped up your third year. I follow you all the time. Love what you do, and you're great at doing it. What got you into the baseball arena, and what made you really fall in love with it?
Number one, I've been married 3 times, and my first wife, I had an opportunity. The owner of our hockey team also owned a AAA baseball team. He goes, "How would you feel about doing hockey in the winter and baseball in the summer?" And
Right.
I'm like, I think that'd be good. That was in 95. And I
Okay.
came home and I told my wife, and she's like, well, good luck with that, because I won't be around. So I turned it down. And
Right.
clearly we didn't stay together. In retrospect, I
Mhm.
probably should have done it then. That was 30 years ago. I had the opportunity.
Yep.
Never did it, never even came close to it.
Mhm.
Fast forward to the summer of 2024. I'm on wife number 3, and I'm
Mhm.
in Florida, and it's just ungodly hot there, man. Like, it's
Yeah.
so hot, it'd make the devil cry. And
Mhm.
I said to my wife, who was from there, I said, do you mind if I go back to Canada for the summer? I can't handle this. And
Mhm.
she goes, yeah, whatever you want. So came back here, and my business manager happens to run and do the social media for the baseball team, the Moose Jaw Miller Express. He's like, we're looking for a broadcaster. Would you be interested in doing it? And I'm like, never done baseball, but I played it growing up. How hard could it be? And
Right.
it took me one game with no color guy, and I was like, I better get some stories, and
Mhm.
I'd better learn these stats.
Yep.
And so it was not like hockey and football where it's just like zing, 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 zing. There's no time, and
Mm.
I enjoyed that part of it. But,
Yeah.
and then fast forward to now, wrapping up the 3rd season, we had a family here from Terrell, Texas, the
Mhm.
Walls family. And the mom goes, she was up to pick up her son, take him back to Texas. And she goes, I just love your play-by-play. You make us feel like we know all the players. We don't know them, but by listening to you and your stories, we feel like we know all these guys.
Mhm.
And I'm like, and that's why I do it.
Yep. That's why I do it also. When I was in Lewisburg, I did more softball than I did baseball, but when I did baseball, I got the same kind of compliments from the parents. And they kept saying all the time, you make us think that we're right there at the ballpark. And I've had so many parents check in, when I did the simulcast on YouTube as well as my radio station. When I did the simulcast that way, they were checking in from all over the Carolinas and all over Virginia. Some would be listening on the road on their way to the ballpark. We'll be there for game 2 of the doubleheader. We're in Virginia right now. How the hell are you going to get here
Well,
from Virginia?
and these days, they throw anybody on the air,
Yep.
and I trust me, I've gotten over it, but it just kind of annoys me. I think you know exactly where I'm coming from,
Oh, yeah.
because there is an art to it. There's work that should go into it.
Mhm.
And we had a huge blowout in our last home game of the season. It was so bad that I started to get into famous people from the hometowns of the players. And oh my God, did people have a riot with that? Like, we have two players from Wichita, Kansas. Who do you think's the most famous person from Wichita, Kansas? Who do you think? I
I,
wouldn't have known.
I wouldn't have.
Kirstie Alley.
What?
She's from Wichita, followed closely by Don Johnson of Miami
Wow.
Vice fame. And then so we went around all these towns. Terrell, Texas. Who's the most famous person from Terrell, Texas? Jamie Foxx, the guy that played Ray
Wow.
Charles and Stephen
Yep.
Willie Beeman. And like, it's just, you would never put that in a hockey game. Where would you put that in? Or a
No.
football game?
Or a baseball game. You wouldn't think you'd have to put that in.
Well, I had the time.
Yep.
And the game wasn't that entertaining. And
Mhm.
as you know, we don't want people turning it off.
No.
So
I would work in stuff that I know very well, which is, like I said, I'm from Chicago, as you know. I would work in food choices. What's your favorite kind of pizza? What kind of food do you have at the ballpark? And they were digging it. They were having fun with it.
I know. Lou Malnati's. Have you been to Lou Malnati's in Chicago?
I have, and I am. Lou Malnati's here. Giordano's here.
I know, right? I know.
Lou Malnati's and Giordano's are neck and neck with me. And one of the last times I was in Chicago before I got married, I decided, you know what, I'm going to have a little contest. And people were filming this. So I went to Lou Malnati's one night, and they said, here, you can have a sample. And I went to Giordano's the next night, same thing. I still couldn't make up my mind. These people were contacting me like 4 or 5 days later, and I said, I'm in a pizza coma. I'll have to get back to you.
I know. Oh, very easy to do. I owned a pizza restaurant. Don't eat it every day. I used to always say I could eat pizza every day, and then I did. Not a good idea.
No, not at all. The great Rod Pedersen joining us here on the program. Always a pleasure, brother. I love you very much. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you stop by again. I mean it.
Of course. Love you too, buddy. Thanks for the time.
One point that he said is that when you have a blowout game, and Lord knows I've called a few in 30 years, you've got to fill in the blanks. And I've had to fill in a lot of blanks over 30 years. I'll fill in this next blank after the break. This is Snowman in the Morning, back in the deuce.